Men are not replaceable. We have to start having babies, or you're going to have short-term boom. That's what we've got now, at the expense of long-term stability. And it's not fear-mongering, it's math. The World Health Organization.
Can y'all even picture Kayla riding on the back of a garbage truck and picking up all the garbage and throwing it in the... Can y'all picture that? Can you? Because I don't. And those are things that have to get done. And without men, they don't get done. Women would just be sitting in a pile of trash without men, right? Because they couldn't do anything.
Organization, the UN, and Elon Musk talk about it all the time. Like, hey, we're already seeing supply chain shortages. We're already seeing problems in keeping up the infrastructure. Trump ran on the fact that most Western nations, like including the US, have shit infrastructure. We have water lines in LA that are 100 years old, blowing up all over the place. What, 6 or 7 of them in the last 2 weeks?
Okay, we have to do like a timer at this point. I don't even.
So
if you want to.
So interrupt her and don't let her get her points out where she's showing actual, real world, current day issues caused by feminism. By not having enough men there to fix these lines, the water lines are blowing up in California. So just interrupt her so she can't make her point about how feminism is ruining the world right here, present day, with an actual world example.
I want to talk to you, and if we want to talk to each other, we have to go point by point. Like, if you monologue at me for 5 minutes straight with multiple points, they're all valid points, and I want to talk to you about all of them.
I just have one question. How are you going to solve the birth rate crisis?
Answer mine first. How do we do that?
There's no future without more people.
How do you reconcile the fact that you're claiming in the 1970s?
I don't think that's how it works. When someone asks you a question, you answer the question. You don't get to ask another question back to pivot away from the question that was asked to you. That's not how debate is supposed to go.
Feminism infused a bunch of women to the workplace, but we actually see the largest boom of women. Hold on, I'm not done.
I'll just grant it.
I'm not done.
It doesn't
the largest
even matter
boom.
She's granting it, stupid. Shut up. You've already gotten your point. She said, I'll grant it. Now be quiet.
My argument.
The largest boom of women entering the workplace is right before the golden age of capitalism in America, right? That's what we see when the American currency becomes the gold world reserve currency. So if you want to blame it at the 1970s.
You heard it. The gold standard is why men and women aren't fucking anymore. That's why there's no more children. We've all got to die off because of the gold standard. It has nothing to do with feminism that teaches women that men are awful. It has nothing to do with that.
My question to you again is, what actually magically happened? Because based on all of the actual data, nothing transformative happened. Manufacturing was starting to die by the 1950s, right? We have the Triffin dilemma, which is a much better understanding of, if you don't know the word, just ask, just saying.
Yeah, no, we didn't look it up. We didn't go look up a term like you do for every debate, a Griffin trilemma, a fucking, what was the last one? She just brings up these stupid fucking terms from a psychology book and thinks everybody that doesn't know them is just definitely dumber than her because she looked it up before she went on the stage. How dumb are y'all?
Okay, the Triffin dilemma is a huge issue that causes massive trade deficits for America, and it causes an issue where people are always going to want to invest in America because, frankly, we're the best. We're the best at everything. So again,
that makes men and women not be able to fuck anymore. There you go. Cool assertion. Nowhere does this have anything to do with reality, though. The ideology that teaches women that men are awful and you got to go and get your bag and all this other shit directly is what is happening. And that's what we're seeing. And they can't do it. They're going to find something. It's the fault of, I don't know. Think of some fucking, the Dust Bowl caused it. The Dust Bowl caused this. That's what's going on. It's not feminism, obviously, but she has nothing to back it up. Nothing. If you have an ideology that teaches women that men are awful, maybe that's why women think men are awful now.
You're going to say it's the 1970s.
I didn't. That's a straw man.
It's not a straw man to say that you said the 1970s is when this took off, the she economy happened.
I'll tell you, no.
That's not a straw man.
That was not in any way a pillar or linchpin of my argument.
So it's the 1950s?
No, birth rates have declined since industrialization.
You're right, like the
it accelerated.
Wait, isn't that like the 1870s?
I have already.
Maybe you mean those 70s.
Okay, when she's done, then I'll talk.
All right. I do want to make sure that there's not too much interrupting. So
let's do a game. We both talk for 2 minutes at a time. We'll have timers. How about that?
So condescending.
I appreciate that. but
Keyboard
I'm
warriors.
okay with keeping it organic as long as there's not too much interrupting.
Mrs. Turner, is it my turn to
Well,
speak? Can I talk, teacher, please?
As a because you're the only person actually being sane right now. If she talks for 7 minutes straight with multiple points,
Just do 2 minutes. It's fine. I have
well, sure.
one
I just want to
Do
let's
2
go
minutes.
point by point.
All right, you guys agree on that? That's progress. All right. You guys
Also,
are both
you're
okay
welcome-
with 2
you're
minutes.
welcome to interrupt
I'm
me, like, when
setting
you
the
need to.
timer. Give me 1 second. And Rachel, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So you're totally fighting a straw man. You completely made up this idea that my whole argument rests on something fundamental changing in the 70s. I'll just grant everything you said. Agrippa's trilemma, whatever you want.
Good one.
Birth rates have been on the decline since industrialization. I didn't say that no women ever worked before the 70s. I said that's the point where it really accelerated and took off and became mainstream, totally socially acceptable, the norm. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom, that's the weird, creepy thing.
I can still hear my grandfather cursing about it. If I focus hard enough, I can hear him cursing about it still.
That's when that changed. Doesn't matter. It started in the 1800s with industrialization, urbanization, and women going to work. Yes, that's when the birth rates began to decline. And the sexual liberation stuff, whether it's no-fault divorce, birth control pills, abortion, the overall thing and the only thing that matters in this argument is what are we going to do about demographics? Because it doesn't matter what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. It doesn't matter when the gold standard happened. It doesn't matter when or how women got into the workforce. We are now in a position where all Western nations are in the exact same boat, that when you shove all the women into the workforce and tell them this is what you need to be doing and focusing on, and you need a 2-income household now to survive, no one has babies. Do you think that that's not going to be a problem?
I think that we absolutely
Kick
need
it
to
over to
incentive.
Kyla. Just to be clear, I'm going to give you full 2 minutes. If you want to use all of it, you can. Otherwise, you can kick it back to her when you want
Here's
to.
what I'll say. Let's just talk. If I start listing off like a bunch of points, just interrupt me. It's pretty simple.
No,
I don't know, guys. I know conversations are hard for like the autism in the room, but that's how they can work.
She just told her to interrupt her, and she's complained 3 times already about Rachel interrupting her. This is what it's like trying to make a woman happy. Because when you do what they tell you to do, they're mad again.
Going back, it was your idea to do the 2 minutes.
It
Let's
was
give this a
sardonic.
try.
Sure, I'll take 2 minutes precisely. Sure, we can do that. It's just gonna be a terrible conversation.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, Rachel took 1:40 or so, and then she let you go for your 2 minutes. If you want to use a minute,
I want 10 seconds. Okay? Oh, I know. I'm so fast.
All right, but I'm
It's
going
the
to
Red
kick it
Bull.
over to Rachel to use 2 minutes.
All right,
You
time's
just
up.
said industrialization is when women started going to work. That's false. Industrialization is when women stopped going to work. That's when women workforce participation declined in the 1800s.
What? Okay, so
Hard for your narrative.
when you talk about women working, nobody thinks that working on your family farm or in your family business with your husband and your dad and everyone, nobody thinks, when we say women going to work, we're talking about dad leaves the house in the morning and goes to his place of business, mom leaves her house in the morning, goes to her place of business, and the kids get sent to daycare or public school. That's new, that's post-industrial. Nobody thinks that agrarian pre-industrial society where you're working the farmstead with your husband is women going to work. They were having 7 babies on average before industrialization per woman. That was fine. Even post-industrialization could have been possibly sustainable had we not introduced sexual liberation, sending women to college, delaying the first birth until you're 31. That is doom. It's demographic doom, and you don't have a way out of it, and you don't have an answer for it, which is why you want to talk about anything else.
Speaking of wanting to talk about anything else, still haven't gotten an answer to the 1970s question, which again,
I granted it.
You can laugh.
I granted it.
It is a hinge point of your narrative.
It's not.
It
I
is.
grant-
Notice how she keeps trying to argue this point that Rachel has already, at least 2 times that I've seen, granted it. Granted. Move on. Go ahead, granted. But she still wants to argue about it because she's trying to pivot away from that question that Rachel just asked her. Can you see it? Can you see it?
I
You're
asked you when.
completely
I
right.
asked you when.
You're
Hold on
completely
one
right
sec,
about
hold
the
on one sec.
70s.
I
I'm just going to grant that you get the whole
order
kit
in
and
the
caboodle,
crowd.
full point for you. Now,
All
what
right,
are you going to do
folks,
about
I need you to,
demographics?
just so the speakers can be heard, I do need you to keep it quiet in the audience. Is not so erudite. You have 2 minutes if you want to use it. Otherwise, we kick it back to Rachel for 2 minutes.
No, I'll use my 2 minutes.
Okay.
So the Gulf states, again, so the reason why you're acting like this isn't
Still no answer.
relative at all is because it's bad for your narrative, right? For example, Japan. Do you think that Japan was like a highly feminist?
Notice how she refuses to answer Rachel's question that she's already asked a few times now, right? And that's because she has no fucking answer. Her answer is just keep letting me do what I want to do because I'm a girl and I have girl power. Let me be a girl boss. That's her answer, right? It doesn't address anything that's going to go on with the world because we're still going to go to hell, but she's going to be happier because she gets to be a girl boss.
Feminist country?
Yes, it's highly modern and industrial. and
Post
women are-
1970s?
Women are absolutely expected to work in Japan.
Post 1970s specifically is when that feminist infusion really came
I don't
out.
know. I'm
Gotta
I'm
pick a date
sure,
if your
I'm
whole
not
narrative-
sure exact
If your
timeline
whole-
of Japan.
if we wanna
doesn't
sit-
matter to my argument at all.
If we want-
So I'm not now, nor have I ever been making the case that women can't be educated. I'm self-educated. We have the internet now. We have more access to information than ever before in history. What we don't need to do is send women to a university, saddle them with an average of $60,000 in debt, expect them to start a career, and then
10
they don't
seconds.
even start a family until they're 31 and it's almost too late.
Sure.
That's backwards.
So the reason why people invest in early on education is it dominantly comes from, again, capitalism and modernization, because what you do early on in life is going to have the most net returns, right? Anybody who knows anything about investment knows this, right? If you, as a young person, invest in education early and you are guaranteed a higher income, that will have net returns for your whole life longer. The reason why men and women are choosing to get married later is, frankly, because of what we've taught them with the Protestant work ethic and being good stewards of their family and their children. The reality is
They don't have children, you idiot. There are no children because they wait till it's too late and you can't have a child with an old lady. And why would you want to?
super happy that you've been really successful, right? You and Andrew are world level. You've got, I think you have a massive income at this point, right? That, your story isn't everyone's story, and it can't be, because not every.
Does Kayla think everyone's out there just providing for these children that don't exist? Is that what she thinks the problem is? That everybody is just delusional enough that they're going to provide for a family that doesn't exist? I don't think that's the problem.
Everyone can be a best-selling author or a world-traveling debater. The reality is that a lot of women who opt for the postponing education typically never go back to it. They never actually end up achieving. And it's really, really hard, actually, to be 36, no background of education, you haven't worked in years, to try to vie for now career prospects.
Hey, it's really hard to get a 31-year-old uterus to shit a baby out, too. And if we don't do that one, then our population goes under and we're fucking done. And you don't get to have a child. You don't get to reproduce. Your one objective you have in life, you don't get to do it. Because you got to go make some money, though, right? That's better than continuing your lineage, right? That's better than handing down, having someone to take care of you when you're old. It's better than that too, huh?
That will be sufficient enough to fund you and your child. I agree that the dual income issue poses the biggest issue for families, and it poses a problem for men and for women. And the reason that that's happening isn't feminism at all. It's runaway inflation, right? It is dominantly low, it's called the K-shaped economy, right? You have people who are lower income, they have less ability to negotiate wages because it is actually more profitable for businesses to offshore manufacturing because of the Triffin dilemma. If you can build a $2 toy and you can build it in Vietnam for 50 cents, but in America, because workers are more educated and expect higher income and their dollar is worth
10
more,
seconds.
you unfortunately have to offshore it. It's more effective. That's why manufacturing left. It's not feminism.
Well, a lot of early feminists wrote a lot about how once we achieved full Marxism and communism, because feminism there's a capitalist side. That's what my first book was about. But the second one is about the Marxist communist side, which wanted to destroy the family so that we could have women workers and we could have communally raised children where everybody's loyalty is to the state. And nobody can pass down private property or anything like that. When you send all the women to work early and you tell them they have to go to college and they invest all of their fertile years, those feminists over 100 years ago saw that this was going to be a problem, and they said, in the future, our main obstacle is going to be biology. We're going to have to overcome biology. We're going to have to have transgenderism. We're going to have artificial wombs. We're going to need some way of dealing with the demographic cliff that's caused by pushing mothers out of motherhood and into the workforce, because you can't do both. Motherhood is not a nights and weekends gig that you do when you have time and you're not at work. It's a full-time job that deserves full-time attention, and there's never going to be a way around that unless you do want everybody to do the Dave Rubin thing and, just buy designer babies, and we'll just outsource wombs, we'll outsource daycare, and by the way, who's doing that? Just other women. So for you and I, if we want to have kids, our privilege of going to work means some other random woman who doesn't care about our child is now going to be raising them for 11 or 12 bucks an hour. What about her? Is that liberating and empowering for her? Is it liberating and empowering for me to spend all day at work and not see my child take their first steps? Or does it make more sense to tell women, hey, look, you can do a lot in this life. There's a lot of living after 40. But, focus on family first. Find your husband, build your family, grow together. Your husband's income will grow as your family grows. And then after that, there is a ton of stuff that you can do. There's all kinds of other options.
What's your point? What's your point?
So much. They work so much, and your prescription is that they miss their childhood's first steps. They miss talking to their kids. They miss fatherhood because they're attached to their GDP output to provide for their family, because mom shouldn't work and shouldn't work for an economically viable option. That's ridiculous, right? That's actually telling young men, abandon your children for the next 10 years until you've made it. It is.
All right.
She acts like you don't get time off. Like when you work a job, you get time off. You could take a day off and go to the ballpark with them. You can do things with them and still be a dad. My dad did a lot with me, and he worked 50 hours a week. He spent too much time with me because I was aggravating to him. But this is just nonsense. This is silliness. Anyone who has kids knows, yeah, it is tough. You got to work 50 hours a week, but you get to see them in the evenings. You get to go do the ball games. You get to do all that shit later. And there are ways to do that. That doesn't mean you're abandoning your child because you're supporting them and giving them money to live off of. Stupid.
I agree. That's very bad. It's very bad for Rachel to do to men.
All right.
I've miscarried twice, but nice try.
Relax.
Didn't stick as well as you hoped it would.
Oh, it's going to be so awful having children that aren't, gangsters because they grew up with no parental guidance, right? It's going to be awful because you get to be there. You get to have a parental figure in the house to watch that child and make sure he's not blowing any shit up. That's just awful. You don't want that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah,
We'll give you 2 minutes.
So-
All right, in the back, keep it down.
Are they going to be exited, or just the ones that are heckling the other way? I mean, he said weird stuff about my children. It's kind of weird.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he made some comment about me not having children.
Bob, can you find him?
Listen, we don't need to make any of this personal, guys.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessary. I
right.
care about
Help
the
us
arguments and the
find,
worldviews.
I
folks,
miscarried, but thank you for your concern. just
help
so you know.
us find that person. We're gonna walk him out.
God.
Folks. Sorry about that, Kyla. I honestly,
Aw.
I thought it was like they were agreeing with you. I didn't hear what they said, so
You're good.
I agree with you. Yeah, folks, don't bring up people's families.
She doesn't have a family. He said you're not going to have any kids. That's what he said. He said, I'm not going to be able to have kids because you're waiting too late. Yeah, that's not personal. That's just everybody who waits too late is not going to have kids. Fucking victims. They just want to be victims so fucking bad.
And again, I want to be easygoing, so if
Because it's like the hot spot. It's the best place to be, and the American dollar goes far.
This is like debate for kindergartners because she talks like a kindergarten teacher. Like, what is she landing a plane? What is going on here?
Manufacturing gets crushed because American workers want higher wages, because our cost of living is higher, because everyone's bringing their business here and everyone's infusing cash all the time. You have
I was on Adderall for a while. It never made me do that.
to deal with the real economic issues that are causing the issue, not just blame feminism.
Okay.
Rachel, you got 2 minutes as well.
I'll try this one more time. I'm not blaming every economic problem on feminism. I'm blaming one economic problem, the only one that matters, which is demographics.
Gulf states.
There's a lot of different. Yeah, they still
not
have
feminism.
above replacement because all the women
They
aren't
don't.
working.
They don't. They are under replacement.
I do the same way that
They are
Rachel didn't interrupt you on the
behind
last
us.
one. I want to give her the same.
The whole world is going this way. So all the countries
Do y'all remember when she complained about the interrupting too? Just keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
that are still above replacement, which is only a handful, are trending down. And when those people, so you said immigrants, you're right. Saudi Arabia imports their entire workforce. We're trying to do that in the West. And what happens? Number one, all the places we're trying to bring immigrants from are now getting below replacement as well. So you're running out of other people to bring over. But two, when you bring those people over from those cultures where there's no feminism into the West, within one generation, their birth rate drops to as low as the native population in the West. So you bring someone over from Pakistan where the birth rate is still like one of the highest in the world. You bring them to the UK where there's feminism. You send their daughters to college and send their daughters to the workforce. They also only have 1.5 children per woman. So no, my claim, you're strawmanning me again. My claim is not every economic problem is caused by feminism. Of course not. But the one that is caused by feminism will be the only one that matters, because if there's no people, there's no future. And you still haven't told me how you're going to combat that. How are you going to have your first world feminist
That's the 15th time she's asked for this question to be answered, and she has pivoted every single time. Let's see what she does.
utopia where the men and the women both work part-time, everyone gets to stay home? However we're going to work that, everybody gets to follow their dreams and do what they
I
want.
think that's called a straw man.
How do we get to do that with below replacement birth rates?
Yeah, we need
if
to solve
women
birth
are
rates.
Hold on one
working, they're
second.
not going to have babies, and that's the only part of my argument that matters.
Sure, yeah, I'm talking, so I can
Give it
repeat
back
for
over
you.
to Kyla for 2 minutes.
I've responded to this multiple times, which again, declining birth rate is not feminism. It is modernization. This is why Saudi Arabia.
She asked you, how do you fix it? Notice, she answered a different question here. She's still answering it wrong, but the question was, how do we fix this?
As it modernizes, has a decline, which, by the way, is below replacement. Saudi Arabia's is like 1.7 right now. So no, they're not replacing themselves. Birth rate decline is because as you modernize and give people more education, they choose to postpone marriage and they have less children as a result of it. It's really that simple, but that's not feminism. That is actually education, that's capitalism, and it's kind of the Protestant work ethic. Because if there's any system that tells you delay gratification, hustle and work hard, make sure you're a steward of the future, it's probably something like a capitalist system with economic incentive to grow, 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 and a Protestant work ethic that says work, work, work. That's what you're actually contending with here. Does feminism have impacts on certain things? Yeah, I think it's made women particularly significantly more choosy in like their partners, for example. But if you look at these bad college women, for example, they're the group getting married more than anyone else since 2010. They are the highest population to get married. Their marriages last longer. They have a divorce rate that's way lower than everyone else, by the way. Their children are more successful. Their children contribute to the economy significantly more. I'd love to get those ladies having children more too. Let's invest in more technologies to kind of help them increase their window of IVF, but I'm sure you're opposed to that, right? There's all sorts. Let's get tax credits. Yeah, let's laugh at it. You guys want to solve the birth rate problem unless you actually have solutions that are about modernization, because your actual enemy here today isn't feminism, it's modernization, and we're never going back to monkey. So you may as well give up on that one.
So you're saying you don't have a solution? Is that what your answer is? Because the question was, well, how do we fix this? That was the question Rachel's asked 15 times now. And she keeps pivoting to this whatever that was. Are you saying you don't have a solution? Because you could have just said that. Okay.
What you actually need to talk about here is a radical reformation of the education system, which if you want to get on my leftist craziness, join me over here, okay? I'm down for it. If you want to talk about women getting maternity leave and dads getting pat leave and it being required by the company to pay for it and not the government, I'm all down for it.
So more socialism. More socialism to fix this socialist problem we created. Great, great, great. Yeah, I think that's always the antidote. If poison is the problem, more poison's the antidote. There you go.
I want moms to stay home for like a year. I want dads to stay home for at least 6 months to a year. It's tradable between the two. I think that's awesome. Norway does it, and it's fucking awesome, by the way. Also, you want to know, before you laugh about it, the childhood outcomes of children whose parents get mat and pat leave? You might want to guess it's really fucking good. Yeah, they're really successful.
So how do you make businesses that are losing money because the economy is in the shitter? How do you get them to just pay people to sit at home and play with their children? Because I want that job. Pay me for that. I'll go have kids if I can just stay home and play with them, throw the Frisbee for a couple hours and I'm done. But that's not reality. She lives in a fantasy world where Big Papa government bails you out of everything and they'll just create children. They'll make robot children or something for this fucking dimwit. She doesn't understand that it's not going to be a sustainable solution because she's not very fucking smart.
Children. So I wanted to deal with the birth rate issue just as much as you do by radicalizing the speed of getting people from education into it. I think the tax that we put on the young in America is insane. I want boomers to stop just gobbling up all the wealth at the top and then holding on to their assets so that it's not there for anybody else. And I think the moment you make life affordable, so it's not $45,000 to have.
I want you to notice here too, she wants to reduce the tax burden on the youngsters. Like, what is that going to do? You think that if you don't tax them, they're just going to start shitting out babies? This is nonsense, and this only makes sense in a woman's brain, and that's why that woman's brain needs to be by the kitchen where she can cook some shit with the rest of her brain, because this is dumb.
Have a baby, suddenly people want to have kids a lot more. That's going to be my guess.
So if the government can just afford to figure out a way to where we can just pay everybody to not have to work anymore, then that would be the solution. But I don't think we're there yet. Like, we're not on Star Trek. We still have to go and make a living, and that's just reality. And that these leftists never deal with reality. They deal with this hypothetical world where everything can be awesome. We just got to get people to pay all our bills for us, and then everything's awesome. Childish.
Yeah, so this is a math problem, which is why I started my opening with all those infographics for you, because you cannot subsidize your way out of this problem.
Right.
In order to be able to have enough,
But okay.
we're not Norway.
What's the deal with the interrupting again? The one who complained about the interrupting first?
This is a very large country. And
Well, I said private institutions
Excuse
would cover
me.
it. Well, you at least deal with what I'm saying.
At least shut the fuck up and stop interrupting, bitch. That's why you can't be a good worker, because you can't shut the fuck up.
Or you could strawman. That's fine. We're doing strawman hour now. Go
You
ahead.
can't
Didn't she suggest the 2 minutes too? I'm pretty sure I remember her saying, let's just do 2 minutes because I don't like being interrupted.
subsidize
like
your
doing
way
it.
out of this. You can't just, we'll just pay for people to be able to be parents. We'll just give them infinite time off so they can spend more time. I already explained this is a math problem. When you have 1/3 of men in the country not even participating in the workforce, your social safety nets are already about to collapse. You cannot add paid family leave and have everybody working a part-time job and subsidize college for everyone. This is what started the problem. The smart countries that are going to still be here and are going to be dominating in the future, I would wager, are the ones who are going to prioritize producing actual goods, including things like food, their own power. They will have energy independence. That's all male-dominated industries. The smart countries are going to say, hey, ladies, here's some incentive for you to stay out of the workforce early on in life. Have a family. We're going to make women staying home and raising their own children the affordable thing, not some kind of weird government subsidy where mommy and daddy both work, but you get a bunch of government subsidized time off for like the first year or two of your child's life. I don't know if you know this, but they live longer than a year or two. They still need you when they get older. So
My died young, unfortunately.
it would be a lot smarter, rather than to just double down on all the shit that has caused all the problems, to say, maybe this was the wrong approach, and maybe looking into the future, we should prioritize long-term stability and make families independent of the government, rather than continue to double down on government's your daddy policies.
Gotcha. So speaking of
Kayla's entire solution was, hey, let's just all go live in a utopia. If we just find a utopia and everybody move there, then there's no problems anymore, because they'll just pay you. They'll just pay you to live at home and raise your children and have as many as you can. It's not fucking a real solution, because if we had utopia, I'd already moved there.
fluffy dream worlds, oh my goodness. Honestly, Rachel, I want to live in your fan fiction utopia too.
Oh, Rachel's is a fan fiction. where the husband just goes and makes a living and the woman raises the kids, that's a fan fiction. But a utopia where everybody just gets all their bills paid and gets paid to raise their children, that's not far-fetched at all.
It sounds fucking awesome. How are you going to do that, though? Because it seems like, you know, if you want your economy to be successful and booming, it seems like the countries who are best at it went, well, we definitely want all people who are best at human capital to be in the spaces that they're most efficient at. It seems like, you know, we've done things like we've tried to have comparative advantages. So we go, why have one woman at home teach 2 kids when that same woman who's really talented teacher can teach 15 kids, and that other woman who is now not teaching her kids because another woman that is wonderful and that we've regularly and we trust is.
So we have really high education numbers too, Kayla? Like we're like so educated? I can go pull up videos of girls and boys too, men and women, who can't name 3 states, who can't name 4 countries. They can't, they're fucking dumb. So your assertion here that, you know, those teachers are doing a really great job kind of falls flat on reality here when we look at the retarded children who can't fucking do anything. They need a safe space to even talk to you. I don't think using the education system is some kind of an excuse for why you're winning. Like, what? People are dumber than they've ever fucking been, by a lot.
Is teaching her children, and that woman can go and do something else successful in whatever way that she would be. Maybe it's making delicious brownies, which, by the way, don't knock brownies, okay? Never knock brownies until you've tried one, right? But when we're talking about the affordability, if you're talking about the affordability crisis, how are you proposing to solve it? Because
yeah, what kind of Adderall speech is that where you just start talking about brownies? Shut the fuck. This is just, headaches is swelling.
I'm putting forward real answers, like, for example, tax credits. So tax credits for anything having to do with child rearing, make anything associated.
Some more subsidies. That's her solution is make the government and make your employers pay all your bills. And let the women go be girl bosses. That's the solution here. That's going to make men and women start reproducing. No, all you're going to do is have a bunch of women in Cabo, right? They're not going to raise children. They're just going to take this new system and fucking take advantage of it. This is not going to fix anything. And even if it were to have like evidence to show that would fix it, which you don't have, it's still, where would you find a government that can afford to pay you to just go have children? Where would you find an employer whose business model is just to make sure that you raise your children properly? Where would you find these 2 things, Kayla? In cartoon world? Where in reality is it that I can just go in, their motto is, yeah, work here because we're going to let you raise your kids all the time and you're not going to have to show up for work. Where is this business? I'll apply. It's just nonsense. This is nonsense. This is like an adult having a debate with a child that still has like candy in their brain.
Papers, for example, make a tax credit. That's not the taxpayer paying for it. That means you don't have to pay extra for it, right? All these things can be helped to make it more affordable to have a children.
Where does that money come from? The money that's getting paid to you, where does that come from? Is that how business works? That they just have that money sitting there on the side in case one day we go to that system, then they'll just give it to you? No, that's not sitting there. They've got to produce that money, which means your goods are going to go up because now this company, you know, I'm going to go buy a Coke at the store. Hey, Coke's a good company. They pay their employees to go have children at home. So I got to spend $20 to get a can of Coke. How does that work, Kayla? It only makes sense to children. That's what I'm trying to say. No company is going to pay you to go spend time with your children. That's just not that's not how business works.
Down for that. What is your fanfic utopian dream process of economy?
Yeah, Rachel's is a utopia. We go back to like 20 years, 30, 40 years ago where women stayed home and men went and worked. Yeah, that's a utopia. But finding a business that just has extra money just to give you to go live at home and take care of your children, that's not a utopia. That's not far-fetched. A government that just pays you indefinitely just to stay home and raise your kids, that's not fictitious at all.
Economy where women aren't working and aren't getting educated, but we're maintaining a competitive global GDP. What's the system for that?
Sure, I'll tell you. First of all, it's not women can't work, it's mothers should be. Mothers already have a job. They don't need a second job. The constant throughout all of human history still matters. Yes, we have modern technology now. That doesn't mean you can automate motherhood. That doesn't mean you can replace it or outsource it. we should be investing. So like I said, we have this 1/3 of American men who are not in the workforce because they don't see any reason to be. They've been told they're bad, they're toxic, they're never going to get a woman, and they're never going to have a future anyway. So just play World of Warcraft. Why not? Get on government subsidy for your ADHD and your autism, which you're all self-diagnosed with from being on TikTok all day. How about we incentivize young men who we desperately need in the trades? We need young men in the trades so bad. It's way cheaper to train them to do the trades than to send them to university. So how about instead of paying them to go to university, giving them $100,000,
like
to
my
go get some
idea.
shitty degree?
Okay.
Now,